Welcome to This Might Get Deep podcast with your girl, your host, Ariel May. I said that already. Bear with me. For those who know me, y'all know that I'm goofy. Y'all know that I like to keep it real. I'm gonna be myself. Ain't nothing gonna be tailored up here but this suit. And you gonna get me. So I'm nervous, y'all. Okay, let me relax. Now, I know some of y'all are like, wow, Ariel starting a podcast, or what is it that she don't do, which is a huge compliment I appreciate. But this episode is episode number 1, so welcome. Woo, woo, woo. We are going to talk about, or I'm going to talk about why I chose a podcast, right? Um, I feel like a lot of my friends and close people who are dear to me know that I've been fighting trying to start a podcast for a long time. I want to say maybe a year, but I was always in my head like everybody has a mic, everybody's doing it, people just want something to say. It's all these gender wars and that. And it was pressing on me heavy, and I was just like, why? Like, why do I feel the need to start a podcast, right? So let's get into it. For those who don't know me, let me stop assuming that everybody coming to watch this is gonna know me. Ariel is my first name. May is my middle name. I use it. Fun fact, I am mixed with black, white, and Chinese. So May comes from my Chinese side. My mom is white and Chinese, and she named me and all 5 of my sisters the same middle name. That's her middle name too, because she couldn't give us her last name. And I was like, you know what? That's kind of neat. But anywho, so my last name is Gilliam, and I'm proud of it because of my father and my grandparents. Um, so I am a fashion stylist. I'm a mother. I do photography here and there. I'm a photographer, but it's not something that I love to do. Anyway, let me get on sidetrack. What else? I'm an author. I have a book out called The Stylist. I'm currently writing my second book. I love to write. I enjoy reading when I have the privilege to do so. My daughter is 11. And what else? I'm just an all-around creative. Fun fact, basketball was my first love. I wanted to be Monica. I thought I was going to be in the WNBA. Actually, I thought I was going to be the first girl in the NBA because Monica clearly didn't do it. Yeah. And so I would like to say that this podcast is going to be a lot of realness. A lot of people that I bring as guests will be people that maybe you know for what it is that they do in the industry or what they do in their life, or maybe people who are close to me. But my point is to get deep, right? This might get deep. That's why I chose that name. And the point of that is I want people to be able to hear the real in people's journey. A lot of times we see the success in people. We see how people are living out their dreams or doing the things that they prayed for and living in places and moments that they hoped for one day, but we don't get to see that journey. And for me, I never want to be one of those people who are showing you all like the side that's green, the butterflies and the glitter and the gold, but you all don't see what it took to get there, because without this other side of my journey, I would have never made it to where I am now. And so that's the whole point of this podcast, just being deep and real and personal, because I can get into it now. The reason why I am finally saying yes to a podcast is because I chose to say yes to God. I want to say I grew up all my life Christian. My grandma was saved. Y'all know if y'all had that grandma that had y'all in them tights, that little dress can't come can't come above your knees. What else? And y'all had y'all hair dipped and laid, and y'all was going to Sunday school. Y'all was in the choir. Y'all was staying after because your grandma was cooking and volunteering. She liked to talk. All the things. You couldn't go to sleep in church. She had a little mint candy in her bag. That's the type of upbringing I had when it came to church. And I always known God, even very young when I was experiencing some of my first moments with trauma. I knew to pray and go to God because of my grandmother. Always prayed over me, always taught me about God, always spoke to me about the word. And so even though I didn't have my own personal relationship, it was more so because of my grandmother. That was something that she instilled in me very early. So So fast forward with just my upbringing, um, whew, all this is gonna tie in, right? So with my upbringing, I grew up in a single parent household. My mom with five sisters. I'm the second oldest, and I grew up in a household that was like very dysfunctional. We had no structure, no order. Let me say this, no shade to my mom, because my mom did the very best that she could. And as I grew up and learned how to heal and accept her for who she is and to put myself in her shoes and understand now that I'm adult that my mom did all that she could to be the best mom that she could be, right? And so with that, um, my dad, no shade to my dad either, because me and my dad have a very good relationship now. But I have to be truthful and share the journey that got us to this. But I like to lead with that because I don't have any hate or anger or anything toward my dad anymore. But he does play a role in like my upbringing and the experiences that I had, even some of my very early trauma. So grew up in a household with me being the second oldest, and my grandparents were my parents. My grandma was my mom on my father's side, and my grandfather on my dad's side was my dad. I call him Grandma Dad, because I couldn't say grandma when I was like, I couldn't say granddad when I was a kid, so I just said Grandma Dad. So I grew up calling him Grandma Dad. That's my Grandma Dad. My dad left when I was 4, right? So let me tell y'all the story that I remember, because you know, when you're young, you don't really remember, like, all the things that you went through is very vague, it's blurry. But for me, I remember being 4 years old, and I think I was, like, outside, and I had my little swimming suit on, and the little blow-up pool that the parents used to get, a little small pool that you could patch your feet in. And there was a knock on the door, or maybe I was 6. I don't know, between 4 and 6, right? And there was a knock on the door, and I go open the door. And it was this woman coming to get my dad. And from what I remember, my dad walked right past me and went with the woman. And then my mom came. They're going to be so mad I'm telling the business. But I already put this out there anyway. Uh, so then my mom came behind and, obviously trying to go toe-to-toe with the lady because, what are you taking my man? Like, what's happening? And so for me, I just remember, like, seeing, like, chaos. And that's, like, the first experience and memory I have from trauma. And from there, because my grandmother taught me how to pray and to lean on God when things just wasn't feeling good or right. And this is how I interpreted it when I was younger. I would pray every single night, God, please bring my dad back. Like, please bring my dad back. I'll do whatever. I just want my dad to come back. And I didn't stop praying until I was like, about that, until I was maybe about like 8 or 10. I just remember every day that prayer. Along with my other prayer was, I used to have a crush on Lil Bow Wow. This is Lil Bow Wow days when he used to sell the CDs with the bandana in it. And I used to pray and ask God. I used to tell God, if you make Lil Bow Wow my boyfriend, like I promise I'm going to be good. It never happened, right? So anyway, from there, God was just very important in my life, and I experienced a lot of things with my mom. When my dad left, she got into a 17-year domestic violence relationship. It was physical abuse, verbal abuse, it was emotional, everything that you can think of. She was with this guy that was, every time I think of him, I'm still working through that healing and that forgiveness, because it was a lot. So y'all gonna grow with that with me, right? We're gonna grow through it. But all types of abuse. He was on drugs and everything. So very early, I grew up watching this grown man like beat my mom, cuss her out, call her B words, everything, and even try to like sexually abuse her too. I remember one night laying in my room sleep, and my mom is in there screaming, yelling because he's trying to like rape her. And then I get up fighting him. Mind you, I'm a little kid, a little girl, and I'm thinking like I could go toe to toe with this man and really like protect my mom. And so I grew up fighting him. Me and my sisters, as they were born and they were growing up, fighting him as well. And we're just seeing that, and that's normal. And I'm going to school every day, being the silly girl, being the goofy kid, playing basketball. I had my basketball with me every day. I was to the point where I was skipping recess to go hoop on the yard and play basketball. That was my outlet. That was what I had. That was a safe space and where I could go and just not have to deal with anything that was happening at home. Um, and so with that, that was for 17 years, just growing up, seeing that and building this resentment and anger toward my mom because in my mind, I'm like, why are you staying with this man that's abusing you? Why are you putting this man that's hurting you and hurting us before us? And I remember time go on. I'm 16 or 17, and my 11-year-old sister, she applies for us to be on the Steve Wilkos show. Now, if y'all don't know who Steve Wilkos is, just think of Jerry Springer. Same type of vibe, except it's not as dramatic, but Steve Wilkos came from Jerry Springer. And my little sister called at 11, and she was like, my dad is, like, beating on my mom. Like, can you help us? And obviously, you know, they like, oh, this is a great story. The 11-year-old calling, and she's the one that reached out. Like, this would be a great story. And for us, we're like, oh, he finna really help us. And so at the time, you know, I wasn't really thinking of it in full, but like we're all flying out together with this man because he still lived with us. We staying in the hotel room together, and we all know we finna go on the show the next day for my mom to get help to leave him. But not thinking about like that don't even make sense. Like we're all traveling down here together, and we juiced and excited because I think it was in Connecticut or something. I don't know, somewhere near New York, and we was juiced because I'm thinking I'm in the fashion at this time, so I'm like, bet we finna be in New York. Like, let's go on the show. I'm not even thinking about the show. I'm more so excited because I'm thinking we finna be in New York. So then we get there and y'all, ghetto, embarrassing. Like, it finally hit me because all the preparation for the show is like cameras in your face and them trying to get you to like think of the trauma in your experiences. They're like, what are the things that he said to you? How do it make you feel? Think about that. And then they want me to walk by the water and look sad and start crying. But it's like my real emotions that they're capturing just for this like good television show. And so fast forward, we get on the show. Embarrassing, y'all. And I'm mad that I'm telling y'all this because now y'all probably can go look it up. But anywho, it was at that moment why I share this because at the end they asked my mom to pick a door. Go through this door on the right if you're gonna leave him and you want us to help you. Go through this door on the left if you're gonna stay. Of course, it's on TV, so my mom chose the show on the right, and I mean the door on the right. And me and my sisters were excited. We were like, yes, like finally. And in the back, we're like, Mom, like you did it. Like they're gonna help us. You're gonna leave, and my mom is crying, and she's like, no, like y'all want me to leave him and then I'm going to be alone. I'm going to be by myself and I'm just going to have you kids and nobody's going to want to be with me with all these kids. And we like, what? So that built anger toward my mom with all of my sisters. And I think early on was kind of a wrong example of how not to stand up for yourself and how not to choose yourself and love yourself and how to settle. And so so I was younger than 16, 17 because when I turned 16, 17, I got into my first relationship and it was abuse. My first love, well, not real love, but you know, you think that. But my first real relationship was an abusive relationship. It was domestic violence. I was fighting this man, and I used to be the type of person that was like, oh, I don't see how somebody can stay in a relationship and not leave. I don't see how they gonna stay with a man. I'm fighting back. I ain't staying with no man. No man gonna talk to me like this. And then when you get in it, it's like, okay, this different. You know, like it's scary. It's hard. Like I need help. I don't know what to do. And I don't even love myself that much to leave because this person tells me they love me and they telling me that they'll do better. And you know what I'm saying? So I ended up being in that for a little over a year until I finally chose to not be like my mom. You know, I finally chose to fight back and to know that I deserve better. And so I was in that for a year, but then even after it lingered, like He was stalking me, following me like on the bus. Like me and my friends would be on the bus. I'm in high school and they're telling me like, ain't that your crazy boyfriend behind us? Like following the bus and like to the point where like one night I was asleep in my room and I had this like really small thin, let me tell y'all, small, thin window, and I'm asleep. Every time I think about it, I think of like a horror movie, right? And I'm laying down sleep. I open my eyes, it's dark. This man is sitting on the edge of my bed like Michael Myers. And he looking at me and like with this angry face, and he's like, I don't remember what he said. I'll be lying if I said something, but I just remember like the look in his eyes, and I was afraid. And I told him like if he don't leave, I was gonna wake up everybody in the house. Even in that moment, I was still scared to do it. And so it was just like a lot of moments like that. Even like one day he kidnapped me, and he was like begging, throwing a tantrum, and like if you like just drop me off to my auntie house and I'll leave you alone. And I was like, okay, but you gotta leave me alone. And he got in the car, and it was like I spent the whole day with him like kidnapped. Like he threatening me, he hitting on me, he grabbing my phone, he tearing up my clothes, and he even he grabbed my. I had an old school Chevy, my first car. Everybody wanted to buy it. It was fly, right? Spent $700. My first car. He reached over while I was driving to his aunt house and pulled the wheel toward him to where we crashed into a parked car. And me, I'm scary. I'm ready to get out, go knock on everybody's door and see who car it is. But he like, no, you better drive or else. And so makes me drive off. My license plate fell off. I didn't know that. Fast forward, let me get to this because I'm talking y'all, but it's just so much I want to give y'all because it all ties into my yes to God. And long story short, that day I'm having asthma attacks. He raped me, made me have sex with him. And it went all the way to the end of the night. And the only way I was able to get away from him was because I had to lie to him and tell him, like, I love him and that I'm not going to leave him. And from there, like, I tried to get restraining orders, but the police was like, I got to serve him. A restraining order won't count unless you serve him, and we can't do nothing against him unless you do a restraining order. And I think very on that's when I started to realize, like, I need to build my own personal relationship with God, but it still wasn't when I gave God a yes. I was very young and I was going to church on my own, building that relationship with him, but I had my grandparents. My grandparents were my everything. I would go see them every summer. I would go see them on holidays. That was the only place I could go where I felt like I had motherly love and parental guidance and just cooked meals, y'all, like clothes that were like fitting everything. And because my mom just was doing the best she could. Like my mom was to the point where she went to jail for fraud because she was trying to work and get welfare to make ends meet for her kids. And for us to have nice things and to have what we want and what we need and she went to jail for it. And at that time, I think I was like 9, 10, and I was homeless. Like me and my sister that have the same dad, we were out on the street trying to figure out where to stay, and we're staying with like somebody that wasn't even our family. And I'm catching a bus to school, getting her to school and everything because the abusive guy she was with at the time did not like us, didn't care for us, and we couldn't stay with him. He only kept his children, which is my younger sisters. And so I'm young trying to figure it out while my mom in jail. Thank God I had her food stamp card that she was still getting food stamps on, but y'all, I was spending them like it was like I was living large. When I tell y'all, she was getting the food stamp part and the cash aid part. I was using the cash aid part to buy me Jordans from the ice cream man. I don't know if y'all remember, but the dude used to be on the ice cream truck in East Oakland. He'd be selling the Jordans off the truck, y'all. I was calling him, using my mom cash aid while she in jail to buy Jordans. My mom got out and was pissed. She thought she had money saved. She thought I was being responsible. I don't even know how old I was. I was in middle school, so I know I was in like 7th, 8th grade because that's when I started getting shoes for real. And my mom got out and was so mad. Anyway, y'all, I didn't listen. Fast forward. Shout out to my grandma, right? So all of these things and experiences I had, even as an adult, moving to LA, thinking that I'm working with Fashion Nova, I'm styling celebrities, I'm working with people like Roddy Ricch was somebody I was manifesting. I remember it was a week. I was posting him. I was like, I'm going to work with him. I'm juice. And I didn't have no gig with him. But that same week, somebody who didn't even know I was manifesting it hit me for a project with Roddy Ricch. So I'm in LA thinking like I'm doing my thing and I'm finna be like getting this money. I thought success was gonna be money. And I was excited. You know, it was like my first time like really stepping out in a whole new place on my own and like in this industry. I'm going to industry parties because I'm working with Fashion Nova. I'm standing next to Trey Songz, Meek Mill, Odell Beckham. Y'all, I'm at parties. Michael B. Let me relax because I'm spoken for. But Michael B. Jordan was there, y'all, and he stepped on my foot and he touched my shoulder and was like, "I'm sorry," and I'm like, "It's cool," playing it off. But y'all, I went to the bathroom. I was like, "Oh, right." I wouldn't do that now because I'm spoken for. But my point is that I was just thinking that I was finna be in this limelight, in this life, chasing the wrong things, idolizing the wrong things. And when I tell y'all, that was the lowest I've ever been. I was dead broke, but being broke wasn't new to me because I grew up broke. I grew up a hustler. I watched my mom hustle, so I'm like young, taking people peaches and plums off their tree and going on the corner right in front of their house selling them. Like I was a hustler. Like if I could sell or flip anything, like that's what I was doing. I was always gonna keep $3 in my pocket if nothing else, right? And so being broke wasn't foreign to me, but it was just like that journey, like really being in LA with nothing and being worried that like I might have chose the wrong path for myself. I always grew up, like I told y'all, basketball was my first love, and that's what I thought I was going to be doing. But when that didn't work out, because I had my daughter when I was in college. So a little bit back, I had my daughter when I was like 21. And so when I moved to LA, I was 25. And I hit rock bottom. And that was a point where I was having like terrible relationships with men, but I knew I wanted to be married. I knew I wanted to be a wife. I was struggling. I always been a single mom, always doing it on my own, always being independent, raising myself, because when I was young, my mom was in her situations. She didn't really have the capacity to raise us properly. So I'm in the streets. I'm outside. I'm seeing everything, experiencing stuff. I always had a conscience, so I always knew like right from wrong, and never did drugs and stuff. I think the most I did was like try a little weed, try a cigarette. Wasn't for me, right? But I was seeing a lot. I didn't have no curfews. I'm staying out at boys' houses, like everything. And just raising myself and but also building this independence to where why I'm this independent woman now. And so in LA, I was in a space where I was like, God, nothing is working for me. I'm going through my daughter's piggy bank trying to scratch up change because I don't know what we finna eat. I'm trying to just get us a little $5 Little Caesars pizza while it's $5 still and wash our clothes. And I'm going through her piggy bank and she's like, Mom, what you doing? And I'm like, oh, girl, I'm just trying to count and see how much you got. We're going to take these coins to the bank and get your dollars. And she like excited and stuff. I'm going through it, come up with like $50. First of all, I'm like, how you get $50 and I'm broke? But anyway, that's beside the point. I'm going to the wash house and this is where I had my breakdown. I'm like, I'm frustrated. The man, it was this Asian guy. He like, you can't come in here unless you bring your clothes in here first. I'm like, okay, I'm just trying to get my quarters. He like, you got to bring the clothes in first because he didn't trust that I was trying to wash clothes. He thought I was just trying to get quarters. I got so mad and cussed this man out. That's not even my character. I let all my anger and frustration out on him. In that same moment, my dad called me just to say hi. I started crying, boo-hooing, and I hung up on him. I couldn't do it because I was then blaming my dad for everything in my life, everything that I was going through. Never called my grandparents and let them know because I knew they held me to a high standard, and I was just disappointed in myself. I felt like a failure. And so in that moment, I go home and I'm praying. I'm like, God, I know this is not why you brought me to LA. I know this is not why I'm here on earth. Like, I'm questioning, like, what is my life purpose? Like, what am I supposed to be doing in life? My relationships are going wrong with these men. I'm not able to provide for my daughter in the way I would like. I have nothing. I moved all the way out here. I came out here chasing something that's no longer serving me. And it was then when God revealed to me my purpose. Because at that time, I started to reflect on everything that I just shared with y'all, everything that I went through. And I was like, why is my life always feeling like a struggle? Why do I always feel like I have to fight? Why do I always feel like I just can't win, you know? And I felt like God revealed to me that he chose me to go through the experiences that I was going through so that I can be one that uses my voice and share my testimonies to help other people. And it took me a long time to grasp that because I'm like, why though? Like, why? Why me? That's like, why? And it was at a point where I started to build my relationship with God and to learn Him, build an intimate relationship with Him, grow closer, and really walk by faith and not by sight. I was just like, you know what? I'm at this point where I don't have nothing. It's nothing I can lose other than just trusting God because I can't do it by myself. And I moved back to the Bay and I wrote my book in 3 months. I was getting clientele like crazy. Mind you, when I was in LA, I was driving back to Oakland every weekend to get clients to get money to pay for my rent because I couldn't afford my rent. I didn't know where my rent was gonna come, but God was making it happen every single month. And so with that, I came back and God just started to reveal to me like the people that was waiting on me, the people that wanted to hear my story. I started doing workshops and where people were coming up to me after crying and telling me like they were exactly where they needed to be and my story is helping them. And, you know, I started to realize that fashion was something and styling that was something that God allowed me to do, to get into these rooms, to get into these spaces, to really share my testimony and really shine light on why I'm even here today, which is through the grace of God. And I made a choice to walk in my purpose, which is using fashion to share my journey, to share my testimony and to help people. Even I'm going to certain events and I'm speaking to children and they're coming up to me after saying thank you because they see themselves in my younger self and now they see their future self in who I am today, and it gives them hope to believe that they will get to where I am even with all the experiences. One girl came to me, oh my God, my heart. She came to me and she was crying and she was like, I'm in the exact same situation. My mom is in a domestic violence relationship, being abused, and she kicked me out because she chose this guy over me. She's 13 and I go to school every day with a smile on my face and nobody knows what I go through, but because of you sharing your journey and I see that you made it out and I seen that you turned out to be this amazing person, I now have hope that I will be her. I now have hope that I will make it out. And I share my journey with God everywhere I go. And the kids come up to me after like, you sharing your journey with God helped me because I believe in God. I want to grow closer to God. And they see that God is what saved me and can save them too, you know? And just give them hope, give them something to look forward to, and to know that they're going to be okay. And so from there, I chose to transition. And yes, I still style. I still do photography. I'm still directing. I'm still writing. I'm still doing all the things that I enjoy. But it's all to give God the glory. It's all to help others. It's all to serve others and to make a difference with what I experience and to hopefully either help people who are currently experiencing the same things or to save people from going down that route, right? And so now to tie it in, my yes to God, my for real yes to God was last year in October. I went to the Acts 242 conference and I remember I was sitting there and just feeling the presence of God. The Holy Spirit was heavy and Jackie Hill Perry was talking and she was like speaking about how to use your influence, like really digging deep on like what is your influence for, especially as a Christian. And I was just sitting there thinking, and God already like told me he wanted me to start doing Bible studies because I was doing them on my own and people was asking me like, can I come? And I was like, no, this is my Bible study. Like just me one-on-one with God. And it was heavy on my heart. And then my pastor one day was like, she wants me to start coordinating something for the young adults. And I'm like, okay, you know, telling her I'll do it. And like Bible study kept coming up. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a Bible study. But I'm like, I don't know when. I just need to see if I'm even hearing from God. So I went to this conference and they were like talking about, again, how to use your influence. And I started boo-hoo crying. And my friend Gabby was with me, and it was like not even on a part where people would normally cry. Like it wasn't nothing. And she looking at me, and I'm just like, God told me to use my influence. Like everything that I'm doing, all the people that follow me, look up to me, admire me, support me. Um, God gave me an influence for a reason, and so I just started getting flashbacks of everything that I've been through in my life up until that moment, and God revealing to me like, this is why I chose you. And I left that conference like, God, I'm giving you a yes. And I was in this space where I was like frustrated and upset and angry because I didn't want to do it because of the responsibility that came with it. But I wanted to do it because I love God that much. And God has been so good to me. And I realized that my life belongs to God. Like, life is a gift. You feel me? And I'm like, listen, I want to take care of this gift and I want to honor God. And so, but it was still like my human side of me, my flesh. I'm like, I'm frustrated. Like, why do I have to be the one to do this? And I just said yes. I did a Bible study and over 100 people RSVP. Mind you, I'm like, I'm only going to do this Bible study for like 25 people. Over 100 people RSVP. I had to get a bigger space and everything. And in that moment, like, there were people crying, saying thank you. They've been looking for a community. They've been looking for a space. I have people that don't know God, that do know God, that want to know God more, like, just from all different walks with Christ. And they all trusted in me to help them with that. And God chose me, and I think about how I didn't feel equipped. I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel like I was good enough. And God continued to show me why he chose me, because I don't want the glory, because I don't want to do this for myself and I'm not trying to get no attention and it is all about him. I'm worthy enough to do it and I'm going to be faithful in it. And so fast forward, I've been doing Bible studies and I've been getting asked to come on platforms to do panels, and people are like coming up to me after the panel and they're like, your story resonated with me the most. You're the reason why, like, I'm leaving this panel today, like, ready, and I appreciate you for sharing your faith and you've helped me. Like, thank you for not being afraid to be real. And every single panel I do, every time I do any speaking engagement, I always get at least one person who's vulnerable enough to come tell me that. And so I don't go and speak unless I get opportunities to. But one day I did another podcast and I was just speaking, being real. And after I connected with this platform I'm on now, right? And it just felt like God, like, the way God led me to this podcast production company place, I knew it was confirmation that God wants me to start creating my own platform to share my voice more, to share my journey more, to give other people a platform and to create healing spaces and community and be a leader. And I was like, ugh, I don't want to do it. Why do I got to keep doing this stuff? And I'm a person that don't like attention and don't, like, naturally I'm goofy and I get attention just from being myself, but like putting myself in position for that is like uncomfortable. But even when I did a post on Instagram, I'm asking people like, what y'all think? Should I do a podcast? And they're like, yes. Like, people are like, I've been waiting. Like, please. Like, I want to hear how you juggling your walk with God and entrepreneurship in the industry. How are you being a single mom? How did you go from so many traumatic and terrible relationships with men to finding someone that you believe is great and your husband one day, and just like navigating through life, right? How are you going through being broke and struggling? How are you getting out of this hustle culture? And just people literally be asking me, like, people be coming to me asking me, like, or telling me, hey, I don't know you, but I'm going through this with my baby daddy and I need you to pray for me and I need some advice. Don't even know me. So it just was like confirmation. And I told myself that I need to stop waiting for people to give me the platform and create it on my own. I need to stop waiting for people to ask me to share my voice and share it. And use this Instagram and this social media stuff for good. You know, I be so irritated at these gender wars or people just getting on the mic saying anything, and it's just like, well, what am I gonna do about it? You know, like, how am I gonna add to the people who are speaking positivity, who are encouraging and trying to help others, who are, you know, trying to lead people to God and help people strengthen their faith. So with that, this podcast will be deeper than words, stronger than fear. Um, it's my yes to God. It's my yes to myself. It's my yes to you all and me wanting to support you all and to give back. Um, it's a yes. It's a yes to my journey that I went on, a yes to my healing, a yes to my sacrifices, a yes to my growth. It's a yes, y'all, and I'm excited to share it. I'm excited to help others get to a yes. I'm excited to help people graduate from fear to faith. I'm excited to give God the glory and to see what this brings. So that's why I chose to do a podcast. 30 minutes later, that's why I chose to do a podcast. And I truly hope that this touches people who are on a journey to growth in all ways. And yeah. So I guess, y'all, this the part where, listen, I'm going to be bringing people in too. I'm going to be bringing different people in to talk about their journeys, not to talk about the bare minimum surface level stuff. I'm not going to be telling y'all my business, but I'm going to be telling y'all my business. I know I gave y'all a quick one, and I gave y'all a mouthful. I didn't even know I could. I was worried about how I'm going to do a podcast because I'm like, what I'm going to talk about, how I'm going to find that much stuff to talk about. I done went over my time. So anyway, this is a part where I say thank you for tuning in to This Might Get Deep podcast. I truly do love y'all. I truly am excited. I truly am open to anything that y'all would like me to speak on or that y'all feel safe to hear from on me. Like, comment, and subscribe. And follow my Instagram page. It's This Might Get Deep podcast. So TMGD podcast. And by the time this drop, it's going to be my grandma's birthday. So my grandparents, who I spoke about, passed. And I'll get into that more a little bit later. We'll talk about grief. But happy birthday, Grandma. Oh, no, it's going to make me emotional. Happy birthday, Grandma. This podcast is dedicated to her because I wouldn't be the woman I am if it wasn't for her. Truly, my grandma, like, of course, God, but my grandma saved me with all that I've been through. And, yeah, I wanted to drop this on her birthday to dedicate it to her, and to make it special and to also put some fire up under me to drop and do this podcast, Stop Fighting. And so happy birthday to my grandma. And I'll see you on the next episode.